Welcome. You are with the Skeinz Diaries on Thursday, get the day right, Maree, 13th of October. It is episode 201. Welcome along for another installment for your week. Sorry, I'm late. Is the first thing I have to let you know. I was out. We ended up having a flurry of people in the shop that literally have come in the last half hour, and I have spent the last half hour with someone from Nelson, just getting them all sorted. They were wonderful, actually. They were incredibly well organised, and they had come in the day before, done a complete reconnoitre of everything, had sorted all their patterns out, and yeah, we had a wonderful time just going through everything and selecting colours and making sure we got the right yarns and doing all the subs, and it was loads of fun, actually. So and they have just left, so that's why I'm a little late, but it's all good. How is everyone this morning? Come on in. I'm also a little hoarse last night. I did some singing, a little bit of when I say singing, I was in the crowd singing because I was loving things so much. I have had my aunt visiting for the last 5 days, and the purpose for her visit is she got a ticket to go to Sole Mio, which opened their welcome or coming home tour here in Napier last night, and they've only got 4 dates. So Napier last night, Auckland tonight, Wellington on Friday, Christchurch Saturday, and I think they fly out on Sunday, they were saying. So literally a whistle stop tour, and she actually literally just before she got down here, she won 2 more tickets to go to the concert. So my husband and I went with her to the concert last night, and if I don't know whether they're sold out in the other venues, because I know they're playing much bigger venues in the other 3 locations than what they are played here, but if there are tickets available, it was amazing, absolutely amazing. So there was a bit of singing that went on. They got everyone singing, and it was just incredible. So little hoarse today, and they sang and entertained for over 2.5 hours. So it was quite a late night too. So it was very good. Very, very good. It was wonderful. And actually, I've got I see a few of the Americans in. Morning, Charles. Sole Mio, for those that aren't aware, New Zealanders, the Kiwis will know who they are, but they are a group of 2 Polynesian brothers and their cousin who are the Samoan Kiwis, and they're opera singers, and they've done incredibly well over the last decade, and they are very much beloved here in New Zealand and Samoa. So they were amazing, and they're funny and interesting and entertaining, and yeah, it was a jolly good night out, I have to say. This morning, I see that many of you have already very quietly, and you can see with the pulse that I'm wearing, very quietly popped up a pulse promotion late on, what are we now, Tuesday night, but didn't do anything with it because I knew I was going to do something today. And of course, many of you already availed yourself of that. I've just popped the newsletter out this morning on it. And what I'm talking about are these pulse skeins. And many of you would have seen these and thought, okay, this is really weird. Why do they have these skeins? And I thought I would tell you why. So, yeah, oh gosh, I'm just getting them all up. So when we got our second shipment of pulse in, and we ordered in that shipment 8 colours. So there were, the 4 of the new ones, there they all are there. We were wanting to sort of trial. We had sort of a request from one client elsewhere, and we just wanted to trial what these would look like on skeined format. So we said to the mill, are we able to do that when we do our order coming out? Because at that stage we were working with balls. And they said, yes, but we need to do X number of kilos of each colour for you to have a look at. And we're like, okay, all right, we'll do that. It wasn't a huge amount, but it was sort of essentially it was a carton. 1 carton of each colour had to be done in this format. So we were like, okay, yeah, because we'd like to see what they look like. And they looked fantastic. They really, I have to say, this is the downside. And this one's, there we go, not twisted very well. This is the downside of balls. Things often, especially yarns like this, don't look particularly fabulous on the ball, but they look amazing on skein. Like really cool on skein. This is actually this one here. oh gosh, Basher and the Boob. There we go. That's that one there. And they look wonderful. And so we were sort of trying to decide whether or not we would bring these in skein instead. And anyway, they went on tour. Ethan was up here. Oh, I can't remember why he was here, but he spied them. In fact, the samples had just arrived and they were sitting in the office, and he's like, oh, what are those? And so he's like, oh, I love them. So he had them down at Outlaw HQ. You guys may remember them if you're a regular at Outlaw HQ. And they were down there for a while, and he was ticking away and selling those. And they needed more room because they're doing lots of really exciting things down there. And so they were on consignment, so we've pulled them back to us, and we've been quietly selling them away in the shop. But we've got another shipment coming in from this mill. And in fact, I think Claire said that on Tuesday the boat was in Brisbane, so it'll be literally coming across the Tasman right now. So it's imminent. We need the space, to be quite frank about it. So as I said, we've literally had a large carton of each colour of these. So I have put them up to Claire at a really amazing price. So they're only $7.90 for 100 gram skein. I know, machine washable merino. And once they've gone, they've gone. Now, if you've got some pulse at home and you love it, all of these are in the current new batch. So if you've been buying pulse recently, particularly if you've got any of the new colours. So the new colours are Adagio, Rhythm, Laser, and Disco. If you've got any of those, the balled yarn and the skein yarn are from exactly the same batch. So that's good to know for that. The flow this is all the flow that we've got left. We've got no balls left. So if you want some flow, the only way you can get flow, this is the best-selling colour by a country mile. The only way you can get flow is in these skeins. And Flutter and Quake, which is in my little sample there, these are in the new batch. But to be fair, to be brutally honest, because of the nature of the yarn, really batch variance is neither here nor there. Janet's just saying the flow's already gone. Gosh, that didn't last long, Janet, did it? It is such a good colour. People just love it. I love Flutter too. So I thought what I did is in the newsletter, we had Delene knitted this for us a month or so ago, and we've just had it in the shop, and I've not really featured it. And this sweater is a boxy sweater. And there it is there. As you can see, it's really wide and boxy. It looks, so many people have tried this on. It is called the Scallop Sweater by Rowan. And we chose it because it's knitted in a Rowan felted tweed, which has these sort of soft colour shifts as well. So we thought that the pulse would work so well as a substitute. It looks amazing. We've had a lot of people try this sweater on. It's one of those wonderful relaxed style sweaters that you can throw over jeans or even over a loose sort of dress, and it just gives you lots of movement and room. The best part about this, if you haven't had a chance to read the newsletter yet, is this pattern is free. It's a free pattern download from Rowan, which is really generous of them, because it is a great pattern and it's loads of fun, and it's one of those sort of really easy breezy sort of styles. I mean, I've got this in the pulse, but if you're wanting to knit this in a summer weight yarn like a cotton or a linen blend, that would make a great summer weight pullover. It would be really fantastic. So this is in Quake, which is our lovely shifts of sort of greens and purples with little pops of colour. And as you can see, it allows the yarn to speak and be joyful and have that sort of wonderful rhythm. The other thing I love about these pulse yarns, and particularly something like this, is that it means that so you could wear this over black, right? I mean, you can wear anything over black. But the neat thing about all the colours that are in here is that you can pick any one of those colours out to have that go over the top of, and it will look great. So you can put it over the top of a bright sort of citrusy green. There's actually quite a bit of red flowing through here. It would look great. There's hints of beautiful rich orange. There's the purples, there's the pinks, there's all sorts. Pick out any of those shades and sit this over the top of it, and it will look like it is meant to be. And that is one of the beauties of our pulse yarn. And I've talked about this phenomenon a lot with Rowan. Oh, not Rowan, Noro. Noro do this. And those who know me know I have a little slight obsession with Noro Silk Garden. I love the ways the colours mix and blend. And I've knitted a cowl in it. I've knitted a number of accessories. And actually, my Rambler tunic that I knitted had the yoke done in Noro Silk Garden. So as those colours flux, flow, and blend, you're actually able to pick out something within those colours and everything goes. Pulse is no different. This is one of my hitchhikers that I've knitted. This is in Disco, which is just bright and cheerful and fun. And it looks fantastic. I can throw this on and it just brightens any outfit up. Hitchhiker's usually written for a fingering weight yarn. I've done this in a DK, switched out to a 4.5 millimeter needle. Bob's your uncle, Sally's your aunt. It's easy peasy. And these I used, so you've got two ways. I used sort of actually 2.5 skeins for this, but you could actually, what I would be inclined, 3 skeins of this would make a fabulous hitchhiker. Well, that's the $7.90. So what's that? 3/8 of 24. So that's $23.70. Is it thereabouts? $23.70. Fabulous Christmas presents. I've said the C word. Sorry. I know it's only October. But if you're starting your gift giving knitting and you're wanting, that's if you're doing, or you could even actually, to be fair, you could do this with 2 skeins and do a slightly smaller one. Well, if you've got a $20 Secret Santa, which I know is a generous Secret Santa, but that would be great for Secret Santa prizes and Secret Santa gifts and stuff. Or if your Secret Santa gift is under 10, one of these Ever After cowl, boom, Secret Santa sorted. And because you only need one of these to do an Ever After cowl, easy. If you Ever After cowl on Revelry's one of my patterns, it's for free. So there you go. Super, super, super easy for gift giving. Really great. So we're just clearing those out. So as Janet was already saying, the flow's already gone. Actually, I'll see how the others are doing, shall I? I have the power. Should we do that? Oh, gosh, I'm on the, there we go. I'm using I've now started. We've got a new laptop out at the front desk, and it's so this is the one, because it actually can process this video program. This is the one that I've been stealing to do it. So poor old Veronica's out there literally flying on one wing now because she's only got the one till running, because I've gone and stolen the other one so I can do these videos. Hopeless, I know. I'm a shocker. It's just thinking so we can tell us how much we've got. It's thinking. There we go. And I've gone and left my fox base sitting on my desk. So I'll tell you how I'm going with that in a second. There we go. Right. We have, yes, no flow. You were right, Janet. Very right. Oh, wow. Gosh, these have all gone down fast. So we're down to so laser. Where are we? This one here is down to the last handful of packs. And in fact, all of them are down, quite a bit down. So this will probably be the next one to go. Quake that this is in is starting to look a little bit likely on it. So yeah, be quite quick. Barbara, stop it. Barbara's just saying Bunnings has already got the Christmas decorations in. No, tell me it's not so. Barbara, tell me it's not so. Oh, crazy. Anyway, I just wanted to let you know about that promotion, because I just think it's a great way. I know many of you have already got Pulse and Stash, but if you've knitted through it, it's brilliant. Actually, I saw that beautiful romper pattern. I think Rachel, was it Rachel or Athalia, did that really gorgeous, the waterfall romper. It's so cute. That would look amazing in this. Really, really gorgeous in this. It's just because kids and baby knits, I think, look great in this because the colours look so happy. So definitely do get in and get those done. Now, I did see somebody has received their Scotch Mist. Angela, yay! Because look, I did grab these here to let you know about these. I was popped in briefly yesterday, and all I could see in the dispatch area literally was a whole shelf of Scotch Mist. What is the weight of the yarn, Charles? The Pulse, Charles, is a DK. It is 200 meters per skein, 100 gram skein. So it's a classic DK. In fact, Charles, this yarn would look fab. Any of your shawls, and the new, I'm going to talk about your new shawl next week, Charles, but actually, Charles has just put out a new shawl. Fabulous. If you like teeth, it's teeth supersized. It's wonderful. It would look amazing, I think, in the flutter. So, yeah, it would look really, really good. But anywho, Scotch Mist, fabulous. You guys have loved it. It's been going out like hot cakes in the shop. If you are in the shop and you are local and you are able to visit, you'll potentially see the second colour is also in the shop called Brigadoon. I'm going to bring that to you next week. We've got samples knitted in that look utterly adorable. And Claire did say to me, why did you get that vest knitted so big? I'll be honest, I got it knitted so big so that I could potentially wear it and or my husband at some point. So that's why I got it knitted so big. Look, I love it. In fact, I think I'll throw it on next week so you can see it on. It looks awesome. Yeah. So if you want to get Brigadoon early, you need to come and visit, but it will go live next week. So it's here. And yes, this is the Scotch Mist. I'm really, really, really happy with these. Peter's actually, I'm going to tell you a wee story about Peter. So Peter Chatterton, who many of you have met here on the diaries, I need to get him back on actually. He's wonderful. He's our sales director, and I work all my new product development with Peter. He's one of our founders with the company. He's been in the trade his entire life. So when he left school, he went straight into the mills, the woolen mills in Yorkshire, and he's been doing it his entire life. And his very, very, very first job was a colorist. That's what he was called, a colorist in the mill. And it was his job to help blend and create colors for heathered yarns. So that was that's what his first role that he ever learnt when he was a teenager. So when he immigrated with his wonderful wife to New Zealand, and he was involved in the wool trade initially, and then the company that then latterly became Design Spun. Excuse me. As I said, hoarse from singing. He one of the first yarns that he created with the original Design Spun was a Perindale yarn called Heathers. These heathers, and the first colour he ever created was the Scotch Mist. So Scotch Mist holds, and Barbara, who I mentioned earlier in the week, found some of the original and sent it to me, and she said, this is a blast from the past for Peter, and it sure was. So this this has been absolutely fantastic. Super nostalgic. He's done an amazing job. The Brigadoon, he colour matched to a colour. He actually had a heathered jumper made from a yarn that he had done for a apparel client. It was totally beautiful, and that's actually how he's gone and he's colour matched that yarn. I have to say, I love this. In fact, I love this with items knitted. I think for linen will be amazing. The Brigadoon, though, I have is something special. I really, really love the Brigadoon. So that is, as I said, in store now. It'll be out online next week. Then we've got Glencoe, which is a sort of rich burgundy, deep sort of burgundy shade. It's sort of quite broody. And then the Stornoway is the last shade. And I can't quite remember what we decided. We had three sort of colours, and we were all umming and ahhing over them. And honestly, I can't remember what the Stornoway was. I'll have to wait until it goes through the blend. It hasn't been blended yet. So the blend sheets have been written up, but it hasn't actually gone through. Elizabeth's saying, is it a blue or lilac shade? I know that we looked at a sort of a pinky mother of pearly was one of them, but we also looked at one that was sort of little gold tones, and then we had another one that was more sort of neutrals and greys and stone tones as well. So I can't remember what one we picked, Elizabeth, because we did it we did it probably 3 months ago. And I've got goldfish memory with stuff like that. I know, dreadful. And I sort of, because there's so much going on, and we make a decision, and then I take it out of the memory bank to put it back in later on. Shocking. And I hear there's going to be permanent. Please, please, please say yes. Patricia, so far, just literally the initial response that we've had, is that, yeah, I hope they are. We need to, obviously, because these are stock dyed, we can't, with hank dyed yarns, you can dye them as you go. Whereas with these, literally, that's why there's only 4 colours. Each colour is literally a single batch on its own. The nice thing is though, we can do 2 variants at the same time. So that's the good news. So everything goes through in a single batch, all in the heather colours, and then it all gets spun to the same count single, and then we twist 2 of them together to create the sport, and 3 of them together to create the DK. Yes, I know. Oh, the one I'm holding, Elizabeth's saying the colour. This one is a no, it's she was asking about the colour. This is what I would call an icy blue. It's quite ice blue, so it's certainly not. Yeah, it's sort of a an icy blue is what I would call it. So it's lovely, really lovely. So that's why we're doing it both in the thing. Bev is asking, am I doing it in the full ply? Well, so we call it 5-ply sport because it is quite, for the Americans, this is more like their sport weight yarn, but this is actually spun as a 2-fold 330/2 tex yarn. So for the yarn geeks out there, that is still technically, it's at the higher end of full ply, it's at the fatter end of full ply. Full ply sort of runs from about 280 tex to about 330 tex actually. So this is at the fat end, and it's so you can substitute this into color work patterns, and we've made sure that this is 330/2 tex. This is exactly the same count as our Southlander Sport, Treaty Myrtle Sport. Our Cozy is exactly the same count as well. Our Cove is the same count. So it means that with all of those yarns being the same count, if you're wanting to do some colour work in a finer weight, they will all intermarry together, and you'll be getting consistency, particularly if you're doing quite like Maree Wallen-esque type colour work. You want to have that yarn ideally the same count and a similar construction, spin, and fibre content. So this Highlander Heather, Southlander, Truly Myrtle, all very much happy friends. Cozy definitely in terms of micron count, but the Cozy does have the machine washable treatment over it to actually make it machine washable. But it is still quite grippy because we've not shrink treated it. It's actually been an after dyed treatment. It does still have that nice grip that you need for colour work, so for steeking. And Cove is a little bit slightly plumper and plusher because there are some finer fibres in there. So there you go. Oh, everyone's getting it. This is so good. I'm so excited that you guys are all getting this in. I'm really, 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 really. Yeah, but Delene's going, the Brigadoon is to die for, and she knows because she knitted the 2 samples. It is seriously, we've got a big basket and a bowl of it just sitting out there, and they've had to fill it up so many times in the last 2 days since it's been out there because people are loving it. They're absolutely loving it. Thank you, Angela. In terms of the intermarriage, it is. There are so many yarns that we do, that are very, very similar counts. And that's the thing particularly now with the prevalence of colour work out there, it's actually really nice to know that you've got options. And when we create a range, we often will create a range. So we want all those colours in the range to work and play happily together. But it's actually nice to know that you can bounce around. And this is why I was late. I had this wonderful customer in from Nelson. She was so lovely. And she had selected this really funky fisherman's rib sweater from Pearl Soho, and she purchased the pattern, and it was done in a fisherman rib, and it was done in a wool alpaca linen sort of blend, and it was in a fingering weight. And so we had a yarn very similar in count to the one that she was wanting to use, but she was really keen to match the colors, and the colors were they were just really happy, beautiful spring joyous colors. And it was sort of a cream, almost maybe, yeah, sort of a creamy oatmeal. And then it was a coral, a pink and a yellow. And I was able to almost get an exact match using Moon from Orb. We were originally going to do merino soft white, but we decided it was too white. So we went with Moon from Orb. Oh, no, we didn't. We actually went with Sock Natural. We had some Sock Natural left, actually, in the shop. So we went with that, which was just the same, and a bit of Orb for the sleeves. Long story. So that was in a cream. And then we did Lovebird in Flight Light from Baby Bandit, Fantasy, and Radiance. Was it Radiance? Yes. And it was wonderful, absolutely wonderful. So the yellow, it just was perfect. And because all of those yarns that we selected were exactly the same count, the 280, I think the 280 bar fours in merino, we just knew that they were all going to work together, even though they were from 3 different ranges. So that is where that intermarriage can work really, really well. So it's great. So good. So good. Oh, right. Lindsay is saying, well, Scotch Mist arrived this morning. I'm thinking a rebel. Yes. A rebel. And did you get the sport weight? I think a rebel and sport weight would be amazing. Absolutely amazing, actually, Lindsay. I think you're on the money there. I think that would look fantastic. I also had someone email me this morning we've had a few inquiries about this particular pattern. It's called the Water Lilies pattern by Unit Toronto. And I had someone ask, and that's done in a DK woolen spun yarn to a 20 stitch tension. And looking at the yarn that they used, actually, if you wanted to knit that sweater, just looking at the yarn, and for my substitute, if you want to get that look, close to that look, our Kelly & Co is probably the best sub for that yarn. However, it's got this lovely sort of lace yoke at the top, but it's quite, that sort of woolen spun yarn is slightly bummed. It's not a smooth yarn, so it has creates this sort of very soft, it softens down the sort of lace panel. And the inquiry that I had is could they use the Scotch Mist? They love the Scotch Mist for that pattern. And could they use the sport weight to get a lighter weight of fabric? And actually, yes, you could. I had a look at it. They were using the needle sizes they were using were 3.75 and 4 millimeter. Well, I've used the sport weight yarn on 3.75 millimeter needles. I personally believe this in 3.5 and 3.75 millimeter needles are just peas and carrots, a match made in heaven. I really love the fabric I get with this yarn. It's a sport weight yarn on the 375s especially. So, yeah, so the short answer to that was yes, you could. And the only difference being is definitely swatch it first, so you can check your gauge. The pattern gauge was for 20 stitches. I'm picking that you're going to I get about 23 and a half to 24, depending on how vicious I block. With this on a 3.75, so then you're looking at around the difference in is around a 10 to 12% difference in gauge, which means that your garment will come out 10 to 12% smaller than what is written for the current gauge. And you just need to be aware of that. So you probably need to go up a size and just watch your row gauge to make sure your length is all good. But yeah, I think it would look fantastic, and it would actually make the yolk and the lace in that yolk look a lot crisper. So, mm, so there you go. So that was that we had there. Anna's asking, is it a lovely heathered yarn comparable with WYS yarn? Okay, Anna, you're going to help me. What's WYS? I know that someone's going to go, oh, Maree, for goodness sake, you should know what that is. I don't know what WYS is. Once I know that, I'm good to go. But it is. I'm loving this. Sorry, I know I'm so hoarse. What else did I have to tell you before I buzz off? Oh yeah, so Fox Bay, which I'm doing by Erica Knight. I am current, so I'm onto the sleeve at the moment. Oh, West Yorkshire Spinners. Thank you, Suzanne. But yeah, West Yorkshire Spinners. Yeah. Yes, I think, and well, it depends. It depends on whether West Yorkshire Spinners is worsted, or it will definitely be blended the same way. I'm not 100%. I think they're worsted spinners, but if it's a worsted yarn, then yes, very, very similar. If it's a woolen spun yarn, I better look it up. Okay. Oh, here we go. Let's have a little look. If you're thinking the Croft, oh, that wasn't very clever of you, Maree. If you're thinking the Croft, which is, and of course that's not very helpful as well. There we go. Ah, right. Looking at them. Yeah. Okay. All right. I'm there. So the Croft, it depends on. Yes-ish. It will depend on whether or not it would. It depends on the brand, which one you've got, my darling, because there are so many. So if it's just the straight one, so like the if it's I don't know whether it's a blue face Leicester or Shetland or so the Croft Aran, which is the one that's coming up here. Just looking at that looks like it is a woolen spun yarn. I'm just having a little look at it. So that's the only thing that I would say. That does look. Is Southlander woolen spun? No, Southlander isn't woolen spun. Southlander is worsted spun. Woolen spun is like our Kelly & Co. So just looking at that, it does look like it is woolen spun. And the way to tell that is when you go to pull it, if you get quite a distinct snap when you pull it and it's quite firm, that generally is a worsted spun. If it sort of pulls apart when you give it just a tug, that's generally a woolen spun. You can actually interchange them, so that's cool. Interchanging them is no problem whatsoever. A worsted spun yarn like this will always give you a smoother finish, but the heathering effect, this is a beautiful thing. The heathering effect, because the heathering starts from the blending at the beginning, that's the one part of the process between both worsted spun heathers and woolen spun heathers, which is the same. We actually blend them the same. It's the only part of the process that is the same. So they're both stock dyed, blended, mixed together, and then they actually go into the carding process. So in the woolen spun version, it goes into a continuous card where the blended fibre goes in at one end and continually gets carded in short fibre all the way through the process to create a single at the other end. Whereas for this guy, it gets blended, goes into our chute, into our carder, and then it goes through a series of carding and combing and gilling processes where essentially we're just stretching those in longer fibers, stretching those long fibers out into this beautiful, smooth roll of sliver, which then goes onto the spinning frames to be spun. So But in terms of the heathering of the yarn, yes, the colour is, the blending is about the same. Right, I'm going to get moving, and hopefully you pick up some of that pulse before it all disappears, and enjoy your knitting across the weekend. Fingers crossed, I will have some more progress to show you in Fox Bay. As I mentioned before, I'm about halfway down the sleeve. I need to, the sleeve is very generous on the pattern, and I don't like a really long sleeve. They annoy me. So I'm just been playing around with some measurements. So I will probably, personally, I like a bracelet length sleeve, or just past that. So I will need to do a little bit of modification there. So hopefully I'll have all of that worked out on the weekend. So if you are knitting along with us and you want to do the same, you'll know what to do. All right, until then, you have a great weekend. I will see you again on Monday, and have fun. Take care.